Now, Singapore's senior minister Loong has expressed grave concern about the U.S. military intervention in Venezuela and the longer-term consequences it could pose on the international system. This comes amid what he terms as a sea change in global order, with intensifying U.S.-China rivalry, weaker global trade rules, and greater pressure on smaller states. Speaking at the ISEAS-Yusof Ishak Institute's Regional Outlook Forum, Mr. Lee also shared how Singapore can keep itself safe from external threats. CNA's Sherlyn Seah reports.
The US's strikes on Venezuela clearly contravene international law, and Singapore stands against such military intervention in other countries, says Mr. Lee. That's despite Venezuela's complicated situation with governance, drug and refugee issues.
That does not justify a military intervention by one country into another unilaterally and without any proper authorization. The immediate consequences, maybe it works, it's a spectacular military success. The longer-term consequences on the international system, I think that is something which we have to worry about. From the point of view of a small country, if that is the way the world works, we have a problem.
That warning comes as the world already grapples with deeper strategic shifts, with Mr. Lee singling out one major change, that the US has been more willing to act unilaterally to its national interest. On top of Venezuela, Mr. Lee cited the US's interventions in the Middle East and in Nigeria, which it has never done before. And now action in Greenland is also on the cards.
The longer-term consequences of these actions, even at the target, and the broader consequences of these actions for the rest of the world and for the global system. A system which is based on UN principles, which is based on the UN Charter, which is based on international law, which is based on countries understanding that you have to coexist with one another peacefully and work with one another, because going to war has grievous and very unpredictable consequences. I'm not sure that that has been furthered by this environment.
When asked what small states like Singapore can do to mitigate risks and preserve sovereignty amid unilateral actions, Mr. Lee pointed to three ways.
First, make sure that the country economy is successful, because if you're broke and poor, you can't do anything about it. Secondly, look to our defenses. We've been spending about 3% of our GDP every year on defense for a very long time, previously even higher, and built up a credible SAF, Singapore Armed Forces. And we continue to do that, not to threaten anybody, but just to keep ourselves safe. Thirdly, work together with our regional neighbors, cooperating amongst ourselves to the extent that we can, and also using it as a platform to partner other economies and other centers of prosperity in the world.
That includes ASEAN, which Mr. Lee says needs to cooperate more closely to deal with external problems as one unit instead of 11 different countries, even while resolving difficult problems within, such as the Thailand-Cambodia conflict.
For the rest of the countries in the Asia-Pacific, the US is still a very important partner, security partner, economic partner, investment source, destination for further studies, so many interactions. But at the same time, these countries also know that China is a major and growing economic and more than economic partner and reality. And so what do they do? And I think all the Asia-Pacific countries must also be rethinking their positions carefully too. I think a lot in the Asia-Pacific will depend on how how China decides that it wants to engage its regional neighbors and the world.
And while acknowledging that China has been making the right statements about multilateralism and rules-based systems, Mr. Lee hopes that those will be realized as real policies amid a difficult ride ahead.